Sometimes when you purchase a design online and it says that it will fit in your hoop, say you have a Janome Mb4 like I do, and the largest hoop will fit a design. If you look down here, it'll fit a design that has a height of 7.87, so this one is definitely under the 7.87. The width of this design is 8.14. The width of the Janome M1 hoop is 9.45. So this design, if you see the size of the design when it's advertised, it will definitely fit in your M1 hoop. But say the digitizer, when she saved it on a Janome. She saved it as a JEF file, but in her software it was in a hoop, say a 9x9 hoop. This hoop is, if I click on hoop, you can see it's a Janome SQ23 hoop. This is for like their single needle machines. It's a 9x9 hoop, and so it's possible when the digitizer saved it, and when she saved it, um, you can check off all these formats. This is an Embird, but most designs or most software have this option to save it in multiple formats. If you save it as a JEF, it may pick one of these JEF hoops. So yes, it's centered in this 9x9 JEF hoop for a single needle. And if you'll notice, most of your digitizers, not most, but many of them won't even save you a JEF Plus. So if you're buying a JEF file, more than likely you're getting a hoop, you're getting it saved in a hoop that was, one of these single needle hoops. So at any rate, so here's the test. So I'll just go and save this. Save as. I'll save it as a JEF. I'm just going to save it on my desktop. And I already saved it once, nature test. And so if you don't have any software, when you purchase this design and bring it up in your Janome Mb4, it's not going to show up on the USB. And here's why. Here is a free software that you can download to check to see if your design is centered in the Janome M1 hoop or M2 hoop or any hoop. It's the Bernina Embroidery software ArtLink. This is free, and it's an interface. It's a Wilcom interface. So if you have if you've ever seen Hatch or any Wilcom softwares or any of the Janome digitizer software, they're all run by Wilcom, or they're all created by Wilcom. They all pretty much look the same. So here it is with nothing loaded, and I'm going to go and bring up that file. Now, that file is going to come up in the M1 hoop only because the last time I used this software, I brought up a design and chose the M1 hoop. I can't click it now because there's nothing loaded. There are limitations to the software. So let me go and open it. File, open design. It was on my desktop. Here it is here. This always comes up. It's, it's not a grade A or B art file, meaning it's not a Bernina vector file. This is their ART is their extension for their vector files. This is a stitch file. So resizing of 10% may produce poor quality. We know that. So we'll click OK. So if I zoom to hoop, now my hoop is highlighted. You can see that this design in an M1 hoop is off center because originally I saved it in a 9x9 hoop. It's still a Janome hoop, but for a single needle. So if I want to center, so I have to center this design in the M1 hoop before I save it and send it to my Mb4 machine. But to center the design, you have to right click on your hoop and instead of automatic centering, because that moves the hoop and not the design, but that's always the default for some reason. Instead of that, you want to click manual. Don't click this or anything, because then the design will move instead of the hoop. And as you can see from the last time I used this, I chose my machine. You can choose any machine you want. I chose my hoop, and I have this checked. And so, so that's why this hoop came up when I opened this design, just because it remembers what you had in the last time. So anyway, so this is important to click manual before you do any centering. And if you don't, I'll show you what happens. This is the default. I'll show you what happens. If I click on the design, and you can see that the design is selected, and so my position X and Y shows up. When the design is not selected, this is grayed out. So you have to select your design. If I tell it, okay, I want my position to be 0, 0, right? 0 and 0. Well, the X they say first. So this is your X, 0. So you want this design to be at a position of 0 on the X and 0 on the Y. But if I do that with their default, so I'm actually, let me do that again. I'm tabbing. So I hit 0, tab, 0, and then you have to hit enter on your keyboard. It moved the hoop. So let me undo that. It didn't move the design, it moved the hoop. So, so let me go undo that. Back at the position, let me right click on the show hoop, click on manual, click OK, and now go up here, highlight 0, tab, 0, enter, and now the design is centered. So then you'll just save it, file. You have to, if you save it, you're saving it as an ART vector file. You have to click export machine file. That exports it as a stitch file. And so you click export machine file. You have to choose. I had a PES because I also have, this was the last way that I saved a design, because I also have 2 brother single needle machines besides the Janome Mb4. So you have to choose your Janome, and here you can see they don't even have the Mb4, the Jeff files, but so you choose Jeff, and you save it where you want. I'll just save it on my desktop again. Save. Yes. And the other thing you could do then, export machine file, is you can have your USB in your computer, And I do have a USB loaded. Actually, this is the Janome USB. So you save it to your USB drive. This is the one that I have formatted for my Janome Mb4. You could see all my folders here. And I can double click on the EMB. And as you notice, I have I have made folders. I click and say new folder. I started with, say, the C for my C files. But then if you click on it, well, there's no Jeff files in here. So, because usually I save them as Jeff Plus because Embird has Jeff Plus. But my point is, when this folder gets filled up, you can see here, if I hover on it, you can see business vertical card holder. I do have files in there, but they're Jeff Plus files, so they're not going to show up. When I have like 5 or more designs in a folder, I just make a new folder. Here I made C0. Should have made it C1, but and then, you could see I have folders in there, files in there. They're Jeff Pluses mostly. There's a PES, but there's no Jeffs really. I usually don't save things as Jeffs unless I buy them as Jeffs. Even then, I resave them as Jeff Pluses. But anyway, so I keep making new folders because then on your Janome Mb4, they open up faster. So on this one, let's see how many N's I have. I have an N and an N2. I have some Jeff Pluses in there. So I'll just create a new folder, click on new folder, and call it N3. And then I'll double click it. So this nature test 1 is going to be in the folder N3, which is within the folder EMB, which is on my USB drive. So now when you open it up, when you put your USB drive into your machine, you will see this design because it does fit in the hoop. It was centered. So you'll have to, if you bought a bunch of designs and they're not showing up on your USB drive, you have to do this for every single design before you want to stitch it out. Maybe you would just do it that way. When you go to stitch it out, then do this instead of having to, do it for every single design. That's very time consuming. So I hope this helped people, and you can always write me on Facebook, Lisa We Quilt, and I do give online software lessons for Embird. If anybody is ever interested, you can always contact me on Facebook for that. My website is wequiltstudio.com.